I think America is all warred out. I know I am. I'm all warred out. I mean, we've been being the world's policeman since I was a kid. It's never helped us. It's never done anything except push us towards bankruptcy and more of our people killed. We've had Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and they ended for what? Nothing. What did we get out of that? Nothing. Are we even safer? No, we're not safer. Look at our streets. Look what's across our border, coming across our border. We have 8,000 terrorists in our country right now. That didn't make us safer by any stretch of the imagination. What do we do that for? We've also been lied to our government over and over and over again for at least the last 100 years on all of this progressive nonsense on, the State Department and how they want to just fight wars now. There hasn't been a real end of a real war in how long? Since World War II? These are all police actions, and they don't seem to work out. I'm done with all of that. I think you are too. And we can't afford another war. Now, with that being said, I think Iran, and I've said this since 2003, Iran's the head of the snake. It wasn't Afghanistan. It wasn't Iraq. I thought the strategy from Bush was to take Afghanistan and Iraq and squeeze the government of Iran enough to have it topple and let the people take over in Iran. But that didn't, I don't think that was even their strategy. I think that was me maybe hoping, and all the talk about the nukes in Iran, I have a hard time, weapons of mass destruction, George Bush. They weren't there. They weren't there. So now they have, I've heard since 2000, 2005, Iran could be just days away from a nuclear weapon. And once they have one, then they can produce all of the, and I don't know why. I've heard this since 2005. You have no credibility with me anymore that they're just days away from a nuclear weapon. Now, are they days away? Maybe. I don't know. So what do we do? Well, I'm pretty happy with the current course. Israel seems to be doing a bang-up job, and have you noticed it's not really causing any more problems on the streets in Saudi Arabia or Egypt or any other place? They all seem to be cool with what's going on. And why is that? Because everyone in the Middle East knows this is right. What is Egypt doing? First of all, maybe we should be a little more like Egypt. Without the authoritarian regime. Maybe we should look at our borders the way Egypt looks at its border with the Palestinians. There's a 2-story wall, all just, it is razor wire everywhere. Nobody's coming across that border coming out of the Palestinian section into Egypt. They don't want them. And strangely, neither does Jordan. Strangely, neither does the UAE. Strangely, neither does Saudi Arabia or any other Gulf country. They don't want them. Why? Because revolution always follows. Thus, let me again bring you back to Egypt. What happened over the weekend? All these Palestinian protesters, the kinds that are on our streets, the Palestinians the Egyptians just picked them up, put them on a bus and said, get the hell out of here or we'll throw you in jail. And they were like, we can't protest peacefully. No, not in Egypt. It's not America. You're not doing that in Egypt. And one of the reasons why you're not doing that in Egypt is because Egypt knows that the Palestinians, no matter where they go, they sow the seeds of revolution, because that has been the pattern over and over and over again when one of the Gulf states take them. So why is it a problem for Donald Trump to do exactly what the Egyptians and the Saudis and UAE and everybody else is doing, which is, hey, Israel, keep going. I'm not going to say that out loud, but keep going. Can we help you with anything on that one? Because, don't turn around on us. We're going to deny it, but go ahead. They're all doing that. All of them. What is the other thing they're doing? They're not siding with the Palestinians. They're not letting the Palestinian, revolution break out in their countries. So why is it such a problem in our country to do what they're doing, which leads me to believe maybe, just maybe, there's a lot of anti-Semitism on this one. I've never seen a country execute a war this precisely as the one that Israel is doing. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay. So now let me take you to the third part of what I want you to really think about. Are we actually preparing for war? Because every sign says yes. And maybe we are. I don't know. Every sign says yes. We're mobilizing. We're moving assets in. Yesterday, I think it was the Israelis said everybody needs to get out of Tehran. That looks like massive bombing coming there. That doesn't seem like Israel, does it? We're talking about maybe using one of our B-52s and the only bomb that can get in to the Fordo plant to be able to get under the mountain to take out their nuclear facilities. We're the only ones that can do it. And we're talking about doing that. However, at the same time, Donald Trump said no to killing the leaders of Iran, which were the leaders that put the plan in place for the assassination of Donald Trump. So it doesn't seem like he's being vindictive here. What is actually happening? How do you make sense of the world? May I just suggest, what do you know about Donald Trump? What do you know at the core of his being who he is? You know that he is a pro tariff guy. You know that he hates war to the core. You know that he is terrified of nuclear war. And he's a negotiator. And I don't think that is in the right order. I think he's a negotiator first. And when you negotiate at this high level, you don't tell everyone what you're doing. First of all, the first thing you have to do is establish credibility. And especially in a country like Iran, where the American president has never had any credibility, because they say, you know what, you cross this red line and you're done. And then they cross the red line and they're like, okay, well, don't cross this red line or you're done. And then they cross that red line and nothing happens. Okay, well, don't cross it. Shut up with your red line. It means nothing to us anymore. What did Donald Trump do? He gave Iran 60 days to negotiate. 60 days. What happened at midnight on day 61? Israel unleashed hell on them. Donald Trump said you have 60 days, and please get to the negotiating table. You don't want to see what happens in day 61. Don't do it. Don't. I'm holding them at bay. Don't. Let's negotiate. Okay? Now he has credibility. So now when they're talking about, well, you know what we might do, he'll say, oh, yeah, well, you know, I'm talking to Israel about letting them use that bunker buster. But, you know, I also think you're really dangerous right now. I think, you know, put us on a war footing, would you? Now the American people are looking at Donald Trump going, he just might do it. Are we going to war? He just might do it. What do you think Iran is saying? Iran is saying the same thing. Good God, he just did this. He just told us 60 days. He's not bluffing. The guy doesn't bluff. He's nuts. He's insane. Whatever you want to say about him, he's a negotiator. And the one thing that Iran really doesn't understand, I think, is negotiating from the best negotiator in the world. But I am afraid the American people don't understand that either. Now, I could be wrong. So I'm not saying this is what's going on, but I believe this is what's happening. I believe he's negotiating. And, you know, he will follow it up. But what did he say as soon as the bombs went out? He said, I told him 60 days. A, establish credibility. Then the very next statement was, please come back to the table or it's only going to get worse. Okay? Then, while the whole world is watching the G7, something happens and he flies back. He leaves the G7 and he flies back. At 3 a.m. he arrives and he goes directly into the Situation Room and they're moving assets around the world. And then he says, hey, Iran, you should negotiate. You should negotiate. We're still at the negotiation table. I would suggest you get back. How freaked out do you think they are? Now, here's the thing. Have you ever been in tough negotiations with somebody and they start to say things and you're like, wait, this wasn't part of the plan. We didn't discuss this, but they're the leader. What should you do if you're in negotiations? You should be going, yeah, we talked about that, all day long. You go out in the hallway or you go into another room and you're like, what the F are you doing? What are you doing? We didn't talk about this, but you never say it at the table. Never. Because if they spot any division, that game is over. So what's happening online? Right now, we're dividing ourselves. I think the president is negotiating. I know the president hates war. I know the president hates nuclear war. I know the president likes Israel, but he's not wanting to fight their wars. I know the president knows how much trouble we're in with Islamic extremism, especially the kind that comes from the 12ers in Iran. If I know all of those things to be true, he's negotiating, and he's hoping that Israel will do the job. We won't have to, but we can back them up by being tough negotiators and say, you know what, go ahead, put us on a war footing. Because then their side is at the table going, what the hell is this guy? And somebody at the table is going, he told us 60 days, and 60 days we were having bombs raining down on us. He'll do it. But there's also somebody at the table that said, just lost Tucker Carlson. That guy helped get him elected. Just lost, whoever, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and Glenn Beck, and they're all fighting against each other. He's not going to be able to hold his base together. If he's bluffing, fine. If he's not bluffing, it won't be long because they'll tear him apart. Now, how does that help? Because you and me and Tucker and Sean, it used to be just the big anchors on CBS, NBC, ABC. Now it's not just even us, it's you. They're watching us as we're sitting at the table. We're blinking repeatedly. I don't know what I don't know. I have no inside information. I just think I know Donald Trump and what he abhors. I know Donald Trump on what he is terrified of, and that is nuclear war and global war. He knows that will be the end of us, all of us. I just don't see him as that guy. And so I have to ask, is the world's best negotiator now negotiating? And I believe the answer is yes. For the first time, you have a president that is a good negotiator. Stop blinking. That doesn't mean I'm for war. It just means stop blinking. Let's have these conversations amongst ourselves and not online. What do you say?